Imagine standing in the sweltering heat of ancient Egypt, a nation entirely dominated by a man considered to be a living god. Before this supreme monarch stands a trembling shepherd with a heavy tongue, and beside him an older brother who must speak the words that will shatter an empire. History often remembers the towering figure of Moses, the great lawgiver who parted the sea. But beside every great leader stands another, often in the shadows, bearing a different kind of burden. This is the story of a man who was the voice for the voiceless, the maker of a golden idol, and the very first high priest of Israel. A man whose profound failures were met with an even more profound grace. This is the story of Aaron. To understand Aaron, we must first understand the world into which he was born. The Israelites had been residing in Egypt for generations, transitioning from honored guests during the time of Joseph to brutalized slaves laboring under the harsh whips of the pharaohs. The culture surrounding them was deeply polytheistic. The Egyptians worshipped a vast pantheon of deities, each representing different forces of nature and aspects of life, mediated by a highly structured, visually spectacular priesthood. For the Israelites, the God of their ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, had seemingly been silent for centuries. They were a people losing their identity, crushed under the weight of mud bricks and profound despair. It is in this crucible of suffering and silent prayers that Aaron grew up. 3 years older than his brother Moses, Aaron lived his entire life among his enslaved people, whilst Moses was raised in the luxury of the Egyptian palace and later fled into the wilderness. When the time for liberation finally arrived, the stage was set not just for a political exodus, but for a radical shift in human history, and Aaron was to be its herald. The story of Aaron's public calling begins with his brother's overwhelming self-doubt. When God encounters Moses at the burning bush, Moses pleads his inability to speak eloquently. As we read in the book of Exodus, chapter 4, verse 14, the Lord becomes angry with Moses, but offers a profound solution. "Is not Aaron the Levite your brother? I know that he can speak well." God declares that Aaron will act as a mouthpiece. According to the book of Exodus, chapter 4, verse 16, God tells Moses regarding Aaron, "He will speak to the people for you. He will be your spokesman, and you will be like God, telling him what to say." And so Aaron becomes the prophet to Moses. Together they confront the Pharaoh. According to the book of Exodus, chapter 7, verses 1 and 2, the Lord commands them, "I am going to make you like God to the king, and your brother Aaron will speak to him as your prophet. Tell Aaron everything I command you, and he will tell the king to let the Israelites leave his country." It is Aaron who throws down his walking stick before the Pharaoh, which turns into a snake. It is Aaron who stretches out his hand over the waters of Egypt, turning them to blood. He is the active, visible agent of God's power in those early, terrifying days of the plagues. Later, as the Israelites wander the desert, Aaron's supportive form takes on a literal form. During a fierce battle against the Amalekites, as recorded in the book of Exodus, chapter 17, verses 11 and 12, the Israelites only win when Moses holds his hands up. When Moses grows weary, it is Aaron and another leader named Hur who find a stone for Moses to sit on, and they stand on either side of him, holding his hands steady until sunset, securing the victory. Yet the most defining and dramatic moment of Aaron's life is not a victory, but a catastrophic failure. Moses has ascended Mount Sinai to receive the law, enveloped in fire and thick cloud. Days turn to weeks. The people, terrified and impatient, turn to Aaron. They are a people fresh out of Egypt, deeply conditioned by a culture where gods could be seen and touched. According to the book of Exodus, chapter 32, verse 1, the people gather around Aaron and demand, "Make us a god to lead us. We don't know what has happened to this man, Moses, who brought us out of Egypt." Faced with a restless, potentially violent mob, the voice of the Exodus falters. Aaron, the man who stood fearlessly before Pharaoh, caves to peer pressure. As we read in the book of Exodus, chapter 32, verses 2 to 4, Aaron commands the people to take off their gold earrings. He takes the jewelry, melts it down, and pours it into a mold to make a gold bull calf. He even builds an altar before it and proclaims a festival. This is a monumental betrayal. While Moses is receiving the commandment prohibiting idols, Aaron is actively forging one. When Moses returns and demands an explanation, Aaron's excuse is almost childish. According to the book of Exodus, chapter 32, verse 24, Aaron claims, "I told them, whoever has any gold jewelry, take it off. They gave it to me, I threw it into the fire, and out came this bull calf." One would expect Aaron's story to end here, consumed by divine wrath. But instead, we witness a breathtaking display of divine grace. Despite his profound weakness, Aaron is not discarded. Instead, he is elevated. In a beautiful act of redemption, God ordains Aaron to become the first high priest of Israel. As detailed in the book of Leviticus, chapter 8, Moses solemnly washes Aaron, clothes him in the exquisite, beautifully woven priestly garments, the tunic, the robe, the ephod, and the breastpiece bearing the 12 precious stones representing the tribes of Israel, and pours the sacred anointing oil upon his head. The man who crafted an idol of rebellion is chosen to be the very vessel of reconciliation, tasked with entering the Holy of Holies to make atonement for the sins of the people. Aaron's life is marked by deep tragedy as well. He loses 2 of his sons, Nadab and Abihu, when they offer unholy fire before the Lord, yet he perseveres in his sacred duty. His journey finally ends at Mount Hor. As recorded in the book of Numbers, chapter 20, verses 25 to 28, God instructs Moses to take Aaron and his son Eleazar up the mountain. There, Moses strips Aaron of his priestly garments and puts them on Eleazar. Aaron breathes his last on the mountaintop, and the entire community of Israel mourns him for 30 days. When we reflect upon the life of Aaron, the brother of Moses, we find a story that holds up a mirror to our own human frailty. Aaron was a man of immense talent and deep flaws. He possessed the gift of eloquent speech, yet in the most critical moment at the foot of Mount Sinai, he lacked the courage to say no. There are 2 vital lessons we can take away from his story. First, Aaron's life reveals the immense value and the heavy burden of secondary leadership. We live in a world that idolizes the main character, the visionary, the Moses. But visions cannot be realized without the Aarons, those who articulate the message, those who stand in the gap, those who hold up the weary arms of the leaders when the battle grows fierce. To be a supporter is a sacred and vital calling. Second, and perhaps most beautifully, Aaron's elevation to the high priesthood teaches us that God's calling is not dismantled by our failures. Aaron's hands, stained by the soot of the golden calf, were the very hands chosen to offer the sacrifices of atonement for a nation. His story is a profound reminder that divine grace often chooses the broken vessel. When we fall, when we succumb to the pressures of the crowd, we are not beyond redemption. Like Aaron, we can be washed, anointed, and repurposed for something holy. Aaron rests in history not as a perfect man, but a perfectly human one, a testament to the enduring patience and redemptive power of the divine.